We'd like to thank everybody who listens to our podcast and watches us on YouTube.
Yeah, big thank you.
And Bruce will thank you also for his Facebook accounts that he set up for us and his Twitter account that people are following us on. So thank you guys for listening to us. We're very excited. We're both back and hope to be bringing you more podcasts than you've seen in the last few months due to the fact that Bruce and I both were out of town. I was in California and he was in Baltimore.
Yep.
And during that period of time, we were very lucky that we auditioned for a upcoming TV show that's going to appear on one of the cable channels in the near future. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah. Thank you to Outpost Entertainment too, by the way. You guys are awesome.
Thank you very much for allowing us to audition for the program, and hopefully that we'll be able to work together in the future. Tonight, as like I said, you were broadcasting from our studios, both on YouTube and on podcast. So be sure to listen to us on our podcast at mothmanpodcast.com. And so when you're out in your car, you can always tune us in. They're on Bluetooth from your mobile device. And also watch us watch us on video from our YouTube channel. Tonight we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're talking about a occurrence that took place in 1920 in the High Point, Greensboro area.
It's basically, we're talking about the local legend, which in Greensboro it used to be called Lydia's Bridge, and due to recent findings and stuff from other paranormal investigators as well as ourselves, we have discovered that the woman's name is not Lydia, in fact Lydia. It is Miss Annie L. Jackson. So we will be talking about Miss Annie L. Jackson's spirit and the bridge where she haunts.
She supposedly was in a car accident in 1920 on US 29 between Greensboro and High Point in the Jamestown area. It was there near a railroad crossing, and she never arrived at her destination. Mrs. Jackson was between 30 and 35 years old. So over the last century, there's been numerous people who have seen her there at the bridge at nighttime, with especially around when it's cold and foggy. And they've stopped and gave her a ride, and she's always going to the same location. And for one example, a gentleman drove up to the house and got out to go open the door for her, and when he came around, she's not in the car. She disappears. So apparently she's still roaming the streets there in the High Point, Greensboro area, trying to find her way home. Bruce did some research from an old newspaper, which was called
the Greensboro Patriot. Yeah.
Right.
The Greensboro Patriot, it's an old defunct newspaper. It doesn't exist anymore. But I was able to find the article. However, before I get into that, I am going to give you a little background information on what I found on Miss Jackson. Her name was Annie L. Jackson. She was born in 1885 in Guilford County, North Carolina, and she died June 21st, 1920 in High Point, obviously. She was the daughter of Joseph A. and Susan Haycock Jackson. She lived in Greensboro, and she worked at Vicks Chemical Company. She had two siblings, Lee Addison Jackson and Dora Patella Jackson Mitchell. All right, and let me pull up the newspaper real quick. And when we say that this was a defunct newspaper, like they actually rushed the newspaper article, so it was actually full of misspellings and grammatical errors and stuff because they were trying to hurry up and kind of make the morning news. So let's pull this up. All right, and it says fatal. The article's on the front page, and it says fatal auto accident on High Point Road, which they spell fatal wrong. Also, it's FAATL is what they put in here. Like I said, they were in a big hurry. Miss Jackson, a young lady of the city, met almost instant death last night when an automobile in which she was riding turned. Wow, that's kind of hard to read. But it said turned suddenly on the High Point Road at about 3 miles from High Point. The accident occurred at 10 o'clock last night, and Miss Jackson died before she could be rushed to the High Point Hospital. The machine was... I can't even read that. It's so hard to read. But let me see if I can zoom in. That actually makes it worse. Okay, let's just pause it. There we go. The machine was being driven toward High Point, and it is reported that the driver lost control on the slippery road when turning a sharp curve. C.L. Hutchison, reported to be an occupant of the car, could not be found after the accident, and the extent of his injuries were not known, while Miss Nettie Letheo and a Mr. Cross were also occupants of the machine, received painful though not serious injuries. Mr. Cross was taken to High Point, where a severe cut across his head was dressed, but it was not necessary for him to remain in the hospital. Miss Letheo was able to return to the city last night. Miss Jackson was, it says, around about 30 years of age and was employed at the local cigar factory. She is a native of this county, and her parents residing in Guilford, and she had been working in the city only a few months, which, like I said, we found out that when I was talking about the errors in this newspaper article, it was actually discovered that her parents were long dead before this, and she did not work at the local cigar factory. She actually worked at the chemical company. So they tried to hurry up their fact-checking just to make the morning news.
This investigation has caught our attention, and we will follow the investigation over the next week or so. We will actually be going to the graveyard and going to the site of her death to research the area, looking for paranormal activity within the area.
Miss Jackson's actually buried in Holt Cemetery at Bessemer United Methodist Church, so we're going to investigate there as well as the bridge.
And these will be night investigations, and if we're lucky, it'd be foggy. So,
maybe.
And we'll offer a ride if we find her there. And we would like to help her get to her final destination.
And like we were saying, everyone used to call her Lydia, and we were kind of talking about it, and we were trying to figure out what the L in her middle name stood for, because her middle initial is L, according to the newspaper and her birth certificate, but there's no actual name attached to the initial. So we were actually speculating that possibly her middle name could be Lydia.
And hopefully that we'll be able to learn more about that in the upcoming days and weeks, and have something there for you. Hopefully we can find something. We're very, very excited about our Old Salisbury Road investigation, where we actually found proof that there was entities living amongst the living in that residence. And be sure to check out our YouTube site for Old Salisbury Road, mothmanpodcast.com, and just type in mothmanpodcast.com, and you'll be able to go to our site and click on Old Salisbury Road. There's a couple of videos in there. One is our debriefing video that you'll see. The other is our actual investigation. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah.
Also, we're very excited. I'm sorry, Bruce. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, yeah, you can actually watch the video of the investigation on YouTube. If you type in Mothman Podcast Paranormal Investigation, the video should pop up.
I've been very lucky here lately, just talking in Mothman Podcast, and it popped up for me. But here again, I've been looking at it a lot. We would like to tell everybody we're very excited about our new equipment. I'll let Bruce, he's a technical expert here in the room with me, explain something about all of our new gadgets that we have in-house now.
All right. Well, first off, we got the creme de la creme, the big bad boy, the SLS camera, which is structured light sensor camera. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a modified Xbox 360 camera, basically, that is able to send out the laser grid and map in a skeletal figure of a ghost or spirit when it's manifesting. We also just purchased a FLIR thermal camera, so now we have thermal imaging, and we also have 2 new black box infrared night vision cameras to help to be like static cameras, so we can set them up in rooms where we're not going to be. We also have what was the other one?
Millimeter.
Oh yeah, we have a new millimeter coming in. We also upgraded our SB7 Spirit Box to now an SB11 Spirit Box, so we can do live EVP sessions. And I also believe we had
Full spectrum cameras.
Oh yes, we did get an extra full spectrum camera. So now we have 2 full spectrum cameras that we're running with, and we got some new extra batteries for those, so that way if the Spirit decides to drain our battery, this time we'll have backups.
And also we have a new infrared camera coming in that's it has radio transmittal capability, so we will be able to place it in an area that we're not located at that time, and it would feed back to either our phone equipment or our computer equipment.
Yeah, we'll have it Bluetooth back to our nerve center.
So we're very excited. We have a house full of equipment. So, so if there's anybody out there that would that knows of a haunting that we need to investigate, please feel free to give us a call at area code 336-268-0018. Or the best way to get us is email us at mothmanpodcast@gmail.com. You can always reach us there, and we would love to hear from your comments. And like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, on Twitter it's at Mothman Podcast 1. Facebook is facebook.com/Mothman Podcast. And if you're a paranormal investigator in the Winston-Salem area or an AV technician, we're actually looking to expand Team Mothman. So shoot us an email or give us a call.
So until next week, we will be seeing you on YouTube or listen to us on mothmanpodcast.com. Thank you and good night.
Stay scary, kiddies.